lot about Embracer. We talk about Nintendo's workplace problem. And we talk about PlayStation's PC launcher. Extra, hear all about it.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast that you wouldn't want to see not happy. I'm the Dean of Games, the Dean Slater if you are Twitter or Twitch, and joining me is twitch.tv/LMJ the Hitman Landen.
That's me.
And from Twitch's graveyard, we have Gavin.
What's up, boys?
So,
What's up?
So I was going to talk, for our, our banter section. I was going to talk about the shitty-ass day I had on Tuesday.
Okay.
But I need to talk about, and we're not going to name names, and we've never talked about where we were. But I need to talk about this kid that just recently started working with us. Corn Boy, yes. Corn Boy. And this man, I've told him numerous times, I go out with the smokers just because all of the smokers are my friends and I just hang out. He's constantly giving me cigarettes. I'm like, dude, I don't smoke. The last time he gave me a cigarette, I looked at it. I was eating my Lunchable. I looked at it. And I swept it onto the ground and then just went back to talking while eating my Lunchable. It's been 4 or 5 times now he's given me a cigarette. It's like, I am twice your age. I'm not falling to your peer pressure. I don't give a shit about smoking. I'm only here to have fun. And Gavin can talk about a corn story, but...
Corn, huh?
Oh my god. Okay, did I tell you about... Were you there when he tried to give me one of his cigars?
You've told me about it.
Okay,
Sounds like a goon.
So this ain't even a real fucking cigar. It's a goddamn cigarella.
Yeah.
But he tries acting like the cigars. I'm like, that's not a cigar, dog. I go outside and I grab a cigarette. He goes like, you want a cigar? I'm like, no, I'm not going to smoke it. And then he tosses it to me anyways. And I grab it and hand it back and hand it out to him. I'm like, I'm not going to smoke this. Take it back. And he kind of had a wide-eyed look like, okay. I'm like, I told you no. No means no, motherfucker. Anyways.
Yeah.
Me, one of our other coworkers, and our team lead were outside during lunch. And our coworker was thinking about going to the gas station. Well, Corn Boy comes out with, a sack, and it's got 2 ears of corn in it. For one, he pulls out one ear of corn and goes like, you want to hear a corny joke? And then just pulls the ear of corn out. And we're like, okay. And he starts laughing to himself. He goes like, yeah, I know, that was a bad one. Here, I got a better one. And then pulls out field corn from his pocket. Here's the thing. Motherfucker, you pulled out field corn from your pocket that Saturday. And then you did it again Tuesday. Do you always have field corn in your pocket? What's happening? So I'm just completely confused. He sets his ear of corn down and goes out to his truck. And we see him rummaging in the back of his truck. We're like, is he about to burn this place to the ground? What's happening? He walks over and he's carrying a bunch of stuff. We're like, what the fuck? This motherfucker has a foldable table, a foldable chair, a butane tank, and a torch, and he's about to sit there and cook corn.
No.
Yes. It's a lot. And our coworker goes and he sees that, he goes I'm gonna go to the gas station. And our team lead looks at me and he goes you want to see if our other coworker that we hang out with is on the other side of the building? We knew he wasn't. And I was like, yeah, let's go do that. So we left him there with his corn, like let him do his thing. Here's another thing. Another coworker of ours, older coworker of ours, Dean, you probably know who I'm talking about. An older woman that sits in her vehicle. Yeah. She was sitting in her vehicle during lunch, and apparently he had walked up to her and asked if she would like some corn.
Oh my goodness.
After he cooked it. And we're like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah.
It's like, dog.
And Landen also has a story about Corn Boy.
No.
If he wants to...
Yeah, so this is second-hand story, but still pretty good. My person above me went on a break to smoke a cigarette in their such said car, and Corn Boy didn't know that the dude was in his car and peed in a bush right next to his car, and he just basically watched him pee right in front of him, one. And then two, after he gets done peeing, he sees a cart at the bottom of the hill, and he decides to grab it, and it's filled with wasps. So he starts going crazy. Wasps, bees, and starts running around and running away from all the wasps that are attacking him.
I heard about
At 6
this.
in the morning.
Like, here's the thing, man. The first day that I worked with them, like, I try to seem as unapproachable as possible. You can ask Dean. I'll say I'm the large, all black wearing goth kid that has music blaring out of his ears to where you can even hear it. And I have just this resting bitch face constantly, and I'm moving around, and obviously intently busy and like throwing stuff around. This kid just comes up and starts talking to me, and I'm sitting here thinking that he's like maybe he's either 18 or he's in his like early 40s. I can't really tell. So out of curiosity, just because of how weird he is, I'm like, how old are you? And he says 23. I was like, and I'm sitting there thinking, God, you're like the same age I am. That sucks. Fuck. That makes me disappointed in my generation. But like, he specifically is like sitting there telling me jokes and everything, and I'm just kind of like, I grew up with two younger brothers. I've learned how to ignore and just be like, yeah, ooh, interesting. You know what I mean?
Neat.
Yeah, and I do catch him saying, is like, don't take anything I say seriously. In high school, I was considered the weird kid. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, you are really leaning into that way more than you should be. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I was the weird kid in high school.
Yeah,
like,
I think all of us were probably weird kids in high school.
Yeah, like, I was the weird kid in high. I was, the emo kid that had, white skinny jeans and fucking long hair, and I was a creepypasta kid, so I was a fucking weirdo. But like, man, this kid, like, I'm not one to judge somebody based off how strange they are or whatever. But man, I don't even feel bad going like, this kid's a fucking weirdo. Like, I don't want him working there anymore because he just makes me uncomfortable. You realize how fucking odd you got to be to make me uncomfortable?
I agree with the uncomfortableness for sure, but I try to be extra nice to people like that, just in case.
Yeah, he makes me uncomfortable too, but I want him around so he can have more content like this.
There is
phenomenal content.
Yeah, no, the content is great.
Yeah, like you started bringing it up, and I was like, oh my god, this is making it to the main show. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, it's great content. We can't lock this behind a paywall.
Exactly.
People need to know. This is like Corn Boy is going to be our version of there's another podcast called Face Jam, and they have someone called Pasta Pete, and the whole thing is he's named Pasta Pete because he got one of those Olive Garden like passes where you got like free Olive Garden for like 30 days or whatever. He went for every meal for all 30 of those days. And so they started calling him Pasta Pete.
It bothers me that, like, he laughs at a lot of things that I say. Because, like, I mean, I guess to some people it'd be funny, but you know how I will just say the most off-the-wall shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not expecting a laugh just because that's how I speak. There was a day, like, I believe you were there when we had like a really, really fucked up couple pallets.
Yeah.
Like the egg pallet was messed up. The dairy pallet was really bad too. Well, I'm staging the dairy pallet, and a thing of yogurt falls to the ground and just splatters everywhere.
Yeah.
And there were still customers there, and I'm like, fucking cunt! And just yelling. And one of our coworkers comes up to us, and Corn Boy's right there too. And our coworker goes like, you all right? What happened? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just the fucking yogurt Kurt Cobain everywhere. And like, Corn Boy just starts laughing his ass off. I'm like, it's not that, like, I guess it's kind of funny, but it's not that funny.
Yeah.
Like, he just finds everything I say absolutely hilarious. And I'm like, good for you, but stop, please. I don't want you finding me fun. I want you to not want to talk to me.
Yeah. Man, that's so much content. Oh, and this is the last thing I'll say about Corn Boy, and we'll move on to the show. One part of my bad day was I've been waiting for for Comcast to bury my damn cable for almost a year. It will have been a year in September, so we're 2 weeks shy of it having been a full year when they finally buried the cable. Well, they finally buried the cable, but they buried the cable so that the cable's sticking out from the house, so I still can't weed eat or mow that part of my house. And Corn Boy's like, should have just called me, I would have done it. And it's like, first of all, I don't know you. Second of all, you cook corn through a butane tank.
I don't know you.
You cook corn through a butane tank. I don't know that I trust you bearing my cable. I don't know what you would do to my house. Anyway, we have 4 stories today because this is Extra Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast covering the news leading up to Sunday, August 21st, 2022. And if you like us, you can go to patreon.com/thebriefing-room, where we just did an editorial where we talk about our least favorite, me and Landen talk about our least favorite Pokemon and have Gavin choose. Who did Gavin choose to have the worst? Find out by going to patreon.com/thebriefing-room. All right, so let's get to some news now. Holy shit, Embracer. So Embracer announced a bunch of acquisitions that they've made.
So much.
First of all, they purchased Middle-earth Enterprises, which is the Lord of the Rings arm that has the rights to the movies, television shows, video games, board games, merch, theme parks, and stage productions.
Theme parks.
Oh yeah, dude, a Legolas shield ride, like roller coaster. I'm not even big into roller coasters anymore, but having like a roller coaster car designed like a Urukai shield and just call it Legolas shield ride or whatever, that'd be dope.
Right.
But anyway, aside from the theme park thing, the other purchases they made are limited run games: Sing Tricks, Tuxedo Labs, Tripwire Interactive, Tatsujin, Bitwave Games, Geotech, and a mystery company. And most of the aforementioned acquisitions cost a total potential of $787 US. And that's excluding the Tatsujin, Bitwave Games, and Geotech. That's everything else. And then they launched an 11th operating arm for Embracer called Embracer Free Mode, focused on retro, classic, and heritage gaming. I'm assuming that's for limited run games and Bitwave games because they're both focused on retro games. They also keep in mind that back in May they purchased all of Square Enix's Western studios for $300 million US. And I said 787 US dollars. I guess I should say that's 787 million US dollars. I don't know if I added the million or not, but yeah. Yeah. If Middle Earth costs less than $1,000, everyone would be trying to get it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's 787 million US dollars for all of that. So what do you guys think about all of that?
That's a lot to unpack, but I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, Embracer keeps buying and buying and buying and buying and have yet to really show too much from what all they bought. But Embracer's got a lot of studios, a lot of companies that they could start making all kinds of new Lord of the Rings games, and I'm all about that. Like, I'm all about that. But
I absolutely love Lord of the Rings.
I love Lord of the Rings too. It's not like, I don't know if it's not huge on my list, but I definitely love Lord of the Rings. But the video games have a special place in my heart growing up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bad,
the movie games, I love playing the movie games with life RPG elements, and yeah, for sure. All those games were pretty good. And you know, I think in the last 10 years, maybe, I'm gonna give it 15. The last 15 years, their games have kind of been dwindling, other than Shadow of Mordor, I would say. But I'd love to see a good comeback of their games.
Yeah, I will say those movie games were good back in their day. They do not well.
That's probably not, no.
But they were also, like, back in the day when those movie games came out, I remember seeing, like, them transitioning from actual footage of the movies to game footage. I was like, games are never going to look better. That was in, like, 2005.
Yeah.
It's like,
different times.
I remember feeling the same way whenever The Last of Us first came out. I was like, man, this is like the epitome of how games could look. Games could not look better than this. And like, don't get me wrong, it still looks pretty fucking good even by today's standards. But
I agree. Another reason why it probably doesn't need a remake.
Facts.
That's a story.
They're pulling a Skyrim with that.
I think this Embracer stuff is interesting. Limited run games. I don't know how much experience you guys have. I have never actually bought anything from them, but I definitely pay attention to their store. Their whole thing is they take games that either no longer are being produced, or they take games that have a digital only version, and they make a licensing agreement with you know, the people that made the game or whatever, and they essentially license the game to make a limited run of a physical version of those games. So, like, there's a digital only version of if there's a digital only version of a game, like I'm trying to think of a game that is only digital. I guess Snipperclips is the one that first came to mind. I don't know why. I haven't played Snipperclips since the launch of the Switch, but it's digital only. Limited run games could make a licensing agreement with Nintendo to release Snipperclips as a cartridge. I'm not super familiar with some of the other stuff. Actually, it's funny though. Last week, at the end of our Backpages post show, which you can find on patreon.com/thebriefing room, they did a we saw some breaking news that someone was making an Avatar: The Last Airbender game, and the people, it's since been figured out that the first people making it are the same people that did the Nickelodeon Kart Racer and Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, which makes me a whole lot less excited for an Avatar: The Last Airbender game. But that is, I'm fairly certain that's an Embracer studio. pretty sure that's a THQ thing. And THQ is under Embracer. So.
I mean, yeah, give a little bit of love to that. I mean, I'm still wishful for the Avatar game for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I don't wish anything ill about it, but actually, someone that's at some point we're going to be introducing to the show. I mentioned that it's being made by the people that made those two games. He goes, "Those are really good games." I was like, "Are they?" Nickelodeon All Star Brawl and Nickelodeon Kart Racer. You think those are good games?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
No, they're not.
yeah, it's Gavin's roommate, and I was like, I don't know that I agree with you on that.
He said those are good games. What is wrong with them?
Yeah, no, I was
That
like,
may disappoint me on a daily basis.
yeah, I was like, Nickelodeon Kart Racer, I could see being okay. Well, I guess no, is All Star Brawl is okay. Kart Racer is just terrible. But hey, at least we don't have to talk about Embracer anymore. Am I right?
Right.
Right.
Wrong. Embracer confirms that KOTOR Remake has switched studios. Maybe. They announced during their announcement of all the acquisitions. They also said one of the group's AAA projects has transitioned to another studio. Last month, Jason Schreier had the story of how Aspyr was no longer working on KOTOR after execs were unhappy with the first vertical slice. Saber had hopped onto development and is now believed to have taken over development from Aspyr. So many believe that this is just them confirming it without actually saying any names, because why would you do that? Why would you? Oh man. But what do you think about them possibly confirming that KOTOR Remake is doing something else?
Is this the same PlayStation exclusive KOTOR?
Yes, that is one and same.
I mean, I'm hopeful. Oh God, I'm tired of saying hopeful. That's not sounding so good, but that is a good game. And the whole reason that the last company stopped working on it is because they had to sit down with all the execs and of all the companies, and they were like, no. So even if this goes to a different company, they're not going to release a shit game. So
yeah.
Worst case scenario that comes out of this is all the studio heads are like, yes, this is good enough, you can release it, or no, we're going to find another studio to work on this, or scrap it.
I don't remember where I saw it. But I thought I saw something where they're like, oh yeah, we're development has not been affected by this transition or whatever, and there will be no further delays or whatever. And I'm just thinking, again, I couldn't find it exactly where I saw that earlier, but I remember seeing that and thinking, well, then why did you need to switch studios? Like, if it's really not in that bad of shape, why would you need to switch studios in the first place? It's not like, back in the day, Nintendo, had announced Metroid Prime 4, and then they're like, a year later, they're like, yeah, we're scrapping the entire project and starting from scratch. If it was that bad, that's what I assumed the KOTOR remake would be, is they're starting from scratch. I don't understand that statement.
Yeah, I think there's certain elements they're probably starting from scratch, because I do believe that the original people were probably still making a turn-based Star Wars game, and I don't think that's what people want. I don't know. This is a lot of hypothetical in my brain here, but
yeah,
my thinking is the combat was not up to par with what all the Disney people wanted, and They got a whole different company in here to hopefully make some different style of combat, because I would be upset if it was still turn-based. Like, it's not that bad, but like I want an updated remake version of this. Like Final Fantasy VII was a remake. It's no longer turn-based.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to see them do something unique with it, because after all, it's supposed to be a remake, right? Aspyr already has ported the game to all the different platforms, which is why they initially got the remake in the first place. Is they've been porting the game, so they are relatively familiar with the code, not familiar enough to keep from KOTOR 2 from being completely unplayable. But you know, if you're doing a remake, I expect it to be more than just, here's a new set of graphics on top of, the old game. I expect it to change something about it to bring it more modern. Like you guys mentioned the Last of Us remake. That from everything I've heard, I would not consider that a remake, because they haven't updated Last of Us. Great game. Controls outdated. That's the only thing about that game that's really outdated, is the controls.
Yeah, a lot of it, and like The Last of Us Part 2 is a clearly like, hey, here's a more updated, modern take of controls. So why you wouldn't port that over makes no sense.
Yeah, so like I don't know. I don't consider anything a remake unless they did something to update the game itself other than graphics. If it's just graphics, I consider that a remaster. But how do you feel about that, Gavin?
I have no thoughts on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking
about, so. We're talking about remakes.
It's just remakes are remakes. It's whatever, man. Like, honestly, like, I don't know enough about the subject when it comes to remakes to really formulate a good opinion on that, because I don't play a lot of them. Because usually the games they remake I already have, so.
Oh yeah. Now we're gonna get into a more serious topic that I don't know. Hopefully we can make jokes about, but
I will make jokes about it anyways.
I'm titling this Nintendo's Animal House. So female contractors faced frat house culture at Nintendo, encountering jokes stereotyping women and sexualizing female characters. Keep in mind, by the way, most Nintendo female characters are underage as well. Like in most Zelda games, Zelda is underage. With the exception kind of Breath of the Wild, where she's like 16, but because she was spent 100 years kind of in stasis, she's 116 technically, but it's a whole thing. And then Twilight Princess Zelda is the other one that wasn't underage. Stuff like that. And this is also after reports that Nintendo keeps the contractors working for carrots on strings, with the carrots not existing in the first place. They're like, hey, if you work as a contractor for us long enough, you'll get a full-time position at Nintendo. And like a 10% higher on rate for contractors. It's very, very low. So they're working to get a position at Nintendo, and Nintendo has no position, no intention of giving them a position at the company. And this is also after Nintendo criticized Activision on its inappropriate workplace environment. Nintendo of America acknowledges the allegation and is investigating. How do you feel about all of this fun stuff?
I believe it. I mean, that culture is very toxic, but it definitely exists in a lot more places than just Nintendo. So I definitely believe these stories and these people talking about this, coming out to talk about this, because it's just, It's just an easy way for not corporate, but just to grind the money out of these people and send them on their way. It's just corporate America, just like not America, obviously, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Companies just trying to get what they can out of people, squeeze them dry, and then toss them to the side, and that's not okay. That is not okay, especially when you put years and years into working for a company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So something that I'm waiting for is everyone that criticized. First of all, Activision criticized Ubisoft on their stuff, and then Activision was doing the same thing as Ubisoft. Same thing here. A bunch of people criticized Activision on its workplace, and out of everyone that's criticized Activision so far, I say so far, don't call me a fanboy because I'm waiting for it to happen, by the way. So far, the only company that criticized Activision that has not been found to also have an appropriate workplace is Xbox. But I'm waiting for it to happen.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Or it could just be that perfect company that nobody's talking about.
Lies.
No. Like, I like what Phil Spencer has done with Xbox, but let's not forget, Xbox is just a arm of Microsoft. And I guarantee you that stuff's going on at Microsoft. Maybe, perhaps it's not going on the Xbox side, but it's definitely happening on the Microsoft side. There's no way a company that big doesn't have it happening.
Exactly.
But yeah, I will say though, Xbox, what was it? 7 out of the 13 executives at Xbox are women. So maybe that helps. Have women in big positions, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Women. I should say, have women at big positions that don't defend torture techniques like Activision did. Their one executive was the woman that was defending waterboarding as enhanced interrogation. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, no, she worked before she was at Activision. She worked at the Bush administration, and that's what she said when asked about the waterboarding. She said, "It's not torture; it's enhanced interrogation."
The fuck? That's really what interrogation is. It's just torture.
So yeah, let's not do that. Let's have a bunch of women that can all keep each other. Let's all just keep each other accountable. Like, if someone says something inappropriate, be like, hey, listen, that wasn't cool. All right, Corn Boy, let's not make fun of the deaf woman, which also happened, but we're not going to talk too much about that.
Oh, I wanted to beat the shit out of him when I found that out.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that was not a cool thing. Anyway, speaking of PlayStation, because they were involved in criticizing Activision and then found out to be having them in their workplace. So Sony, they found details in the code for the PC port of PlayStation Spider-Man. In the code had PSN integration, which I can't wait for, and a PlayStation launcher mention. Spider-Man is currently the 6th PC release of PlayStation. And then Miles Morales and Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection is next.
This is exciting. This is very exciting. I know some people get upset about more launchers, gross. But if they were to have a PlayStation launcher, that means you could have trophies on PC. You could have potentially the ability to, like, say you buy a game and it's also for PC, you could own that game technically twice. by having it on
Yeah.
PC and on your console. So if you could, in the future, like just a future idea how PlayStation could easily compete with, the market right now, you buy your game, you technically own it for PC and for console, allowing you to basically. I mean, that's just a genius idea, and having it to where you basically get the digital download technically of your such said game. It's a really good idea, and and so people will use their launcher over Steam or Epic Games.
Yeah,
that's it's a good it's a good idea. I don't think it'll work so well when it first launches, but
no.
it's such a good idea.
My thing is for PlayStation, I can take or leave the PlayStation launcher, honestly. But yeah, PSN and integration is something I want to see, regardless of whether they have a launcher or not. So for that reason, you can get trophies and so forth.
Like if my 200 PlayStation Plus games for monthly games can just transfer over to that, I have all of them on my PC. That sounds awesome. And potentially, you're talking about a Steam Deck that could probably launch that PlayStation PC launcher and potentially playing PlayStation games mobile on the Steam Deck.
Yeah. Like Gamepass for PC, which, by the way, I didn't put in the stories. Might be getting a PlayStation game on the PC Gamepass, maybe, possibly, which would be weird. But yeah, Xbox Game Pass on PC has a lot of games because Game Pass has a lot of games. It's still nowhere near what Steam and Epic have as far as libraries, and that's my concern with the PlayStation launcher. Is again, this is the 6th PC release.
Right.
They don't have a lot of content on PC right now to justify having a launcher at this point. The only reason I would use the only reason I use the EA Origins launcher is because it's required for Game Pass on PC for the EA games. Is I click on an EA game I've downloaded through Xbox Game Pass, and then it opens the EA Origins launcher. That's the only reason I have the EA Origins launcher. And it's a pain in the ass to get games to display on OBS through the Origins launcher, I will say also.
Right.
So that
I don't know. It's potential. I think it'll in short term, it's probably going to be trash, and no one's going to be too excited. Long term, I think as long as they invest the money into it, PC's market is only growing and growing. Over the next 10 years, they could help them potentially stay in the console wars, not necessarily console wars, just stay alive in general. Because if somehow they can transition into their launcher being a lot more of a premium product, even if it's just free, and it working as well as we would want it to, and having all the doohickeys, they could potentially stop, relying on console, still work on console, but stop relying on it and have their PC launcher or anything in the future.
We'll have to see. I think if they have some extra features that you wouldn't find on a Steam or Epic Game Store, I think that would be the key to make up for a lack of games. Because even if they include the PlayStation, even if they add some of the PlayStation Plus games to the to PC, there's not a lot of PlayStation Plus games that are worth playing right now. At specific levels, I should say, there aren't a lot. And that would also require them to release their games on PC at a little bit quicker cadence too. Than they have been. Because they just released Spider-Man this week, and that came out in 2018.
It took a while.
Yeah, you can't have it coming out that late, into the game's life if you're going to have a PC launcher. So, do you like this or do you not like this, Gavin?
I don't know much about PC though, so honestly, I can't really say.
I mean, I have the Epic Games launcher and the Steam launcher. I don't really mind either one. I mean, sometimes I go on the Ubisoft one to get my free games for free, depending on what they are.
I feel like a lot of the things that we talk about, I'll know better once I have a PC. But like,
Yeah,
I just don't really know anything about PC.
yeah, that's the reason I have Epic Games launcher. Really, is claiming free games. I wasn't planning on doing it, and then they had the BioShock games for free.
Yeah, like how do you not pick up that?
Yeah, how do you not pick up the BioShock games for free?
Right.
But yeah, so I've just been picking up free games through Epic because of that. I haven't looked for what's currently free on Epic right now, but yeah. Anyway, if you liked or didn't like this podcast, be sure to do all of the things, like hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and hitting that bell on youtube.com/the XofPlays, or giving it a high rating on whatever podcast service you use so you can find like-minded people. Be sure to tell people about the show. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow. And I brought it up before, but on patreon.com/thebriefing-room, you can financially support the show. We have a pre-show called The Editorials. We have a pro show called The Back Pages. It's all newspaper related. It's all really cool theme, whatever. And you'll get other cool rewards. So, that's all from us. Take care. Post.